Our 2025 Director of Legislative Affairs, Open Forum, and Director of Outreach Debate. My name is Melissa Lopez Barbosa, and I am the Elections Administration Committee Chair, and I will be moderating today's Open Forum and Debate. Now, who we're all here to listen to first, our Director of Legislative Affairs, candidate Ben Brown. Ben Brown had filed before the filing deadline and will be officially listed on our ballot next week during voting period. The format for today's open forum is 1 minute for their opening statement and introduction. After that, the Elections Administration Committee has prepared 5 questions for our Director of Legislative Affairs candidate, and they will have 2 minutes to answer each question. After those questions have been answered, we will open it up to questions from the audience. Audience members may ask questions to the candidate either using the slip of paper right in front of you and pen and handing it to me, or you can raise your hand and I will walk the mic to you so you can ask the question directly, and that will be at the end. So please encourage your fellow students. If you know anybody who'd like to come, we still have food in the back and drinks. So now going over the rules for the open forum. Candidate responses are limited to specific time limits, and candidates have been provided with these limits while preparing for the debate. The timekeeper, myself, will alert candidates that they have 30 seconds remaining. Candidates should adhere to all time guidance, and should they exceed their time, the moderator will ask them to finish their thought. Candidates should abide by all policies and procedures laid out in the elections packet provided to them. Candidates may use technology during the debate, and they are able to take notes while another candidate is speaking. Candidates may not interrupt one another, and candidates may be asked to respond to the question if it's not answered directly. So now we'll open it up to our first question for our Director of Legislative Affairs candidate. What are the most pressing legislative issues affecting UW-Tacoma students, and how will you address them? You have 2 minutes to answer. Your time starts now.
Am I supposed to give an introduction first?
Oh, yes, sorry about that. Up to an introduction, and you have 1 minute for your opening statement. Sorry about that.
Cool.
Your time starts now.
Yeah, no, you're good. Hi, I'm Ben Brown. I'm the current Director of Legislative Affairs. I'm running on the Allied Students Initiative ticket. A little bit about me. This last legislative session was my second legislative session in Olympia. My first one was working as an intern with the Washington State Labor Council. Prior to that, I did a lot of organizing on campus. I was the chair of the Progressive Student Union on campus. I guess to also state my major and stuff, I'm double majoring in labor studies and PP&E, politics, philosophy, and economics. And this year, just as the Director of Legislative Affairs, we've had probably one of the most successful, really the most successful Huskies on the Hill that we've had in UW, recorded UW history. We had almost 140 students register from just UW-Tacoma alone. And we had
Minute has passed, please wrap up.
Yep. So if you want to know more information about the stuff that I have done as Director of Legislative Affairs, you can look at the ASUWT website or voteasi.com. Yeah, about the ticket.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Now we'll move on to our questions. So the first question we have the Election Administration Committee prepare for you is, what are the most pressing legislative issues affecting UW-Tacoma students, and how will you address them? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
So anyone that's been paying attention to current state politics are probably aware that this year we are facing a $12 to $15 billion budget deficit. That's been very impactful for specifically higher education. It's been a large part of our focus this year because of what it has meant for what tuition is going to look like for students, as well as financial aid, such as the Washington College Grant. So that is, of course, a big major focus for ASUWT next year as well, just because we are taking a lot of hits as far as student tuition and the share of tuition that students are going to have to pay and what their families are going to have to pay to help fund universities. On top of that, I'm sure everyone is aware of things that are going on at the federal level. A large thing that both ASUWT currently, as well as the Washington Student Association, has been talking about is finding ways that we can protect our non-citizen and undocumented students that are currently at UW and at UW-Tacoma, as well as UW-Bothell, of course. And so we will be also working on finding ways that we can do things at the state level to ensure that there are protections for those students against some of these attacks from the federal government. The last thing I would say is basic needs. That's been a big priority for us this year. It's going to be a continued priority. One of the things we worked on was a proviso to have us added to a pilot program to help provide food assistance to students on campus. Unfortunately, because of the budget, similar to financial aid,
2
we had
minutes
some
have passed.
difficulty with that. So we'll be continuing to work on that next year as well.
Thank you. The next question that we have for you is, how will you ensure that students are informed about legislative decisions that impact them? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
So, also currently, as the current Director of Legislative Affairs, we've made a lot of strides on ensuring students are informed on down in Olympia. Myself and my legislative liaison, Ashley, made sure that we had consistent communication with each other, and she ensured that I was aware of what was going on down in Olympia, and she was aware of what we were doing here to ensure students were being notified to go support our priorities and to just email their legislators and stuff like that. So looking at next year, a lot of what we would be doing is continuing the same stuff, sending out emails, ensuring students know how to access those links to sign up to testify, to give their own, to provide written and in-person testimony or online testimony, as well as just noting their position for the record. We'll also be trying to engage more with the Student Legislative Advocacy Council, or the SLAC, to try and get more engagement with them, with students, to get more information out. And lastly, one of the things that our current president and I have been working on this year is trying to get a new position added to the legislative team for next year. So if it is passed by the student body during this election, we will also be adding a campus organizer to our legislative staff whose main focus will be outreach and notifying students about bills that we care about and ways that they can support those bills.
Thank you. Our third question for you is, what strategies will you use to advocate for students at the local, state, and federal levels? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
So the strategies that we're gonna, again, continue to sort of use to advocate is we need to continue lobbying. We've already started working on some stuff. Obviously, at the state level, we've been continuing lobbying efforts that were started last year. We've been working to expand our lobbying efforts around the city level as well. Myself and our city liaison, Leon, have been meeting with city council members. Federal is going to be a new territory for us that we're hoping to get into next year. WSA has already elected to partner with the United States Student Association, so we will be working to also take our part in advocating at the federal level for our student priorities. Again, it'll be a very interesting new sort of territory to sort of breach. It's not the same as state government. So that will definitely have some growing pains. But as far as local and state, we're going to work more to try and get more students engaged and involved, getting a form out to students for policy proposals, things that they would like to see policy enacted on, as well as getting more members on the Student Legislative Advocacy Council, and getting more students down to Olympia, down to Tacoma City Hall to talk to city council members, stuff like that, and making sure that we're staying on top of these priorities.
Thank you. Our fourth question for you is, how will you work with student governments from other campuses to strengthen student representation? You have 2 minutes to respond to this question. Your time starts now.
So to address Huskies on the Hill again, the only reason that was as successful as it was because it was a tri-campus collaboration between ASUWT, ASUWB, ASUW, and GPSS to get as many students down to Olympia as we got this year. Continuing that work, we definitely plan to just continue growing Huskies on the Hill, continue growing student advocacy, working with the other UW campuses, but even past that, working with other universities and colleges within the Washington Student Association, and working as well with our fellow Tacoma community campuses with TCC, UPS, Pierce, and trying to work with the student populations and student governments on those campuses, more particularly at the local level, so that we can advocate for student priorities together.
Thank you. Our next question and final question prepared by the Elections Administration Committee is, what are your top 3 priorities for improving legislative advocacy? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
So I think this year we made a lot of strides when it came to outreach and getting students aware and involved when it came to legislative advocacy. Again, we had a huge turnout for Huskies on the Hill from UW Tacoma, more than we were even expecting. We had only expected 100 students and we got 140. But what I want to continue that. So I want to keep the outreach going. I want to get more students involved in what we're doing, more students involved with organizations like WSA, getting them involved in civic advocacy, getting them involved more with stuff that we're working on for student priorities. So I would say getting more students involved in outreach would definitely be one. The second one I would definitely say is sorry, I forgot what my second one was. I would say my second is doing more to get. I mean, really, outreach is the main focus. I mean, because growing more with Huskies on the Hill as well, I would say, and working more with those other campuses and working to get our actual priorities through next year, because this year state-wise was a difficult year. So.
Thank you so much. Those are all the questions that the Elections Administration Committee had prepared for our Director of Legislative Affairs candidate. We will now be opening up the floor to any questions from the audience. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask on the mic, or if you have any written down, please hand them to me and I will refer to them to the candidate. So please let me know, please raise your hand if you have any questions, and I will hand you the mic. Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, I guess the mic's for everyone else. I was going to say I don't need it now that I'm so close to you. But yep. Mike Pace here again. Hello, everyone. Doing my rounds. I'd like to just break this up into 2 sort of parts. I'd like to ask first if you support the ongoing campaign to force UW to divest from Israel and their ongoing genocide. Yes or no, please?
Yes.
Easy answer. Perfect. Further, I'd like to ask how you intend to continue this fight. yeah, the Board of Regents gave us the middle finger. They don't care about our opinion. I'm hoping that you have specific radical action is what I'm hoping for. Words and presentations that fall on deaf ears are not enough anymore. And I'll leave it there.
When did you start going to school here? Just curious.
Well, first quarter was a couple years ago, but on and off. I've been in an IT program since 2 quarters ago.
Gotcha. Okay. So prior to ASUWT, I did do a lot of organizing. I helped organize a lot of the rallies on campus in support of Palestine. And I would definitely say that, I mean, so the first thing that I think needs to be addressed is, at the end of the day, yes, ASUWT is student government, and we exist to represent students. But at the end of the day, we are also students. There is so much. There's so much we can do to a point, and I full-heartedly agree with my ticket mate Ray and what they said about a vote of no confidence when it comes to the Board of Regents. But then we also need to address the governor appoints the Board of Regents. If something were to happen, or if we were to still submit a vote of no confidence, like, it doesn't guarantee that the governor's going to acknowledge that. That's the reality of it. I don't have the same optimistic perspective that Christopher had the other day about Governor being more open to things than Governor Inslee was. But when it comes to radical action, students need to get involved. Like we can advocate for radical action as ASUWT all day, but what are the other students doing? I mean, there's only 14 of us, I think, in ASUWT, and from our positions, we have a platform, and we can say things and do things and advocate for things from that platform. But what is really going to make an impact to or stuff like the Board of Regents is that we need students marching. We do need student action, but we need the students to organize it. It can't come down to just ASUWT to organize the student action. I mean, people coming through here, asking that similar question, I'm gonna ask you the same question. As someone who has done organizing, what are you doing?
I'm glad you asked. I'm forming a YDSA, what's the word? RSO? Not an RSO, but a club, and probably an RSO here on campus. YDSA being Young Democratic Socialists of America. Check my shirt out. It's a little tight. Don't worry about it. So I'm working on that as well. I think the vote of no confidence is a good idea. I don't want to feel like I'm attacking you, but I feel like you were giving me a lot of excuses and not telling me what you would do. I understand that the student body needs to get organized. That's what I'd like to do, whether or not I'm on ASUWT. I'm running as a senator position. But you guys are in power, and you have maybe not a lot of power in your positions, but you have more power than the average student, and we do need to organize. I agree with you, but that doesn't explain what you're going to do if you have any plans to take action, other than the vote of confidence, which I agree with.
I mean, okay, so I think the first question is, do you know what I have already done outside of the organizing that I already mentioned? No. But I'm saying, and we can do the what you're gonna do, what you're not gonna do. What I'm trying. Okay, listen. And I was trying to originally be charitable with what I was saying. All right, but what besides forming a student organization? What have you done? Not attacking you. I am explaining. Give me a second, all right? Because first of all, do you know what I have done? I've been down in Olympia every day almost. I've had a legislative liaison down in Olympia, advocating for student needs, talking about, as I already mentioned, students that are losing their visas, students that are losing their green cards, all right? You want to talk about organizing? What are you doing about mutual aid to make sure those students are being protected? We're talking about Palestine, right? we're talking about what radical action you want to see about Palestine, we can march in the streets, we can do whatever we want. Trump's still in office. You think he's going to stop sending Netanyahu bombs? Yeah, we can do divestment, that's fine. But the reality is there are things that we can affect, and that's what we're working on. That's what I've been working on. So it's an insult to me, it's an insult to the work that I've done, and it's an insult to what the current administration has done. For the student body of this campus coming through here and making statements like this. But if you want to know what I would radically do, all right, is we would have meetings with admin, all right, as we've had meetings with admin about this, all right? Myself and Holly have met with administration about this issue, all right? Next, all right, it already went through divestment, or we already had a vote, our Senate had a vote, got taken to the Board of Regents, all right? Board of Regents said no. They voted it down almost unanimously, all right? What is next? We could submit a vote of no confidence. That's a great next step. But then Bob Ferguson shuts that down. What's next? You tell me what's next. What answer are you looking for?
Mm-hmm. And I wasn't trying to, I'm sure you've done a lot of great work, and I went to Husky on the Hills training that you hosted, and I immediately...
Did you come to Huskies on the Hill? Why not?
I didn't make it, I was busy.
You were busy. But see, that's the thing. But see, that's an opportunity for you to get involved and for you to do something. But you were busy.
Okay, yes. We can't do everything.
We are only students just like you are. That is what the point I'm trying to make here. We can only do so much. Other students need to organize. Other students need to get involved. Okay. So, again, radical change, we need to organize students. But that can't just come down to ASUWT. All right? We should be organizing. But that can't just come down to us. So, if you want to see change, you want to do something, you also need to start organizing. All right, that's great that you're starting an RSO, but I can tell you because I ran the original YDSA that was here on campus. It's a lot of fucking work, dude. It's a lot of work. Okay.
All right.
All right, we have time for one last question if anyone else has any questions. We have one question up here.
Hello. Hi, Ben. I just want to ask what makes you so passionate about this role and why you, kind of with your past work that you've done, what is it that interests you and why this position, if that makes sense?
So I think why I'm so passionate about what I do is because I do want to make legitimate change that affects people, that is going to do something for our student population. I mean, to give a little bit of my own background, I am not from Washington State. I came from a state that didn't have financial aid, so I joined the military so that I could pay to go to school, all right? Because of that, UW-T, this being sort of my second chance at college and stuff, it's very important to me. I care a lot about the school. I care a lot about the students. I also understand that we have a large population of students who are from marginalized backgrounds, a lot of working class people, a lot of working people in school, a lot of students with families and with their own children. And so I think trying to advocate to make sure their basic needs are being met, they have the financial aid that they need and the support that they need so that they can pursue an education and pursue a better life is what keeps me doing this.
All right, and thank you so much to our Director of Legislative Affairs candidate, Ben Brown. We will now be moving forward with our Director of Outreach debate. We have 3 candidates who are eligible for this debate. All these candidates filed before the filing deadline, and we will now be asking them to come forward to the podiums. All right, I'm excited to announce our Director of Outreach Debates candidates, Husna Ghafouri, Matthew Hankerson, and Sith Zuber Fantulin. As you can tell, we have only 2 candidates here. Yes. So we only have 2 candidates here. Sith Zuber Fantulin is doing work in Palestine, so he will not be able to make it here today, but we have 2 candidates here who will be debating. So now, to get into our format for today's debate. Each candidate will have 1 minute to have an opening statement. We will be doing those here shortly, and we will be going from left to right from all of you. So we'll start with Matthew. And then after our opening statements, we will have 2 minutes to answer each question. The Elections Administration Committee has prepared 5 questions. After that, each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each candidate, and then 30 seconds for closing arguments. After that, we will have questions from the audience for 10 minutes. Audience members may ask questions to the candidate either through the microphone or writing down a question on the piece of paper and handing it to me so that I can ask them through the mic. And the rules for the debate are similar to the open forum. Candidate responses are limited to specific time limits, and candidates have been provided with these limits while preparing for the debate. The timekeeper will alert candidates that they have 30 seconds remaining. Candidates should adhere to all time guidance, and should they exceed their time, the moderator will ask them to finish their thought. Candidates should abide by all policies and procedures laid out in the elections packet provided to them. Candidates may use technology during the debate. They are able to take notes while another candidate is speaking. Candidates may not interrupt one another, and candidates may be asked to respond to the question if it's not answered directly. So now we'll open it up with 1 minute opening statements. Matthew, you have 1 minute. Your time starts now.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm grateful to be beside and debate with everyone up here. I'm grateful for the staff, and I'm grateful for everyone attending this event. It's a true honor to be up here and speak to everyone. If you told me 2 years ago that I'll be doing this, I wouldn't believe you. My name is Matthew Hankerson, and I am running for ASUWT, Director of Outreach with the Hope Ticket. Throughout my time here on campus and being actively vibrant with the student life, I have heard opinions, some being pros and cons from our fellow students here at UWT. As the president of the Black Student Union and a member of 4 student organizations, I have dedicated my time in building community, amplifying student voices, and pushing for real change. I'm running not just to represent you, but to work with you, to make sure our campus grows into a place where everyone can thrive.
Thank you. Husnaha, you have 1 minute for your opening statement. Your time starts now.
Hello, my name is Husna Ghafouri, and I'm running for Director of Outreach. I currently serve as the pre-major senator with ASUWT, where I've had the opportunity to listen to students and advocate for their academic needs. Together with my fellow representatives, we've launched initiatives that reflect the real concerns of our student body and brought the voices directly to the administration. ASUWT is evolving into an organization that not only listens, but acts based on measurable input from the student body and takes accountability. Electing me means continuing this momentum. I'm committed to following through on the priorities that ASI and I have developed, building on the meaningful progress that we have made over the 2 years as ASI. ASI's values of representation, advancement, and development deeply resonates with my own. And as a Director of Outreach, I will make sure that student voices are heard. Since I don't have much time in this debate to go into great detail of our priorities, please check out the Promises Made, Promises Kept on the voteasi.com webpage to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we will now be moving with the first question that the Elections Administration Committee has prepared. Due to the fact that there are 2 candidates, we will be starting with the first question. That is the candidate who will be answering first in alphabetical order. Husneya, you have the opportunity to answer the first question, and you have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan to improve student awareness of ASUWT's initiatives and resources? Your time starts now.
Improving students' awareness of ASUWT initiatives and resources starts with one crucial principle: meeting students where they are. This includes revitalizing our presence on platforms students actually use, like Instagram, TikTok, and Discord, while also maintaining more traditional outreach through email, newsletters, and campus bulletin boards. Each of these platforms would have tailored content, whether it's reels highlighting upcoming events or graphics breaking down initiatives. Second, I would be hosting events for students to come and talk to their representatives. As my experience with Middle Eastern South Asian Student Association makes this very easy for me to host these dialogues. Third, I would be partnering with RSO leaders, faculty, and academic advisors to serve as connectors. By embedding information about ASUWT into their orientations, syllabuses, student organization events, we increase the chance of student engaging with us without them having to seek us out. Finally, transparency builds trust, and trust builds engagement. I would advocate for short, clear monthly updates from ASUWT directors summarizing what's been done, what's next, and how can students get involved. Because when students feel included, they start to care, and when they care, they get involved. Thank you.
Matthew, the same question goes for you, and you also have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan to improve student awareness of ASUWT's initiatives and resources? Your time starts now.
One of the biggest challenges on campus is that students aren't always aware of the available resources. As somebody deeply involved in campus life, I've seen how students always say, "I wish I knew about this sooner," or "What club is that?" That's why I committed to improving our engagement with students on campus. Not I, but we will strengthen ASUWT's social media presence with consistent engaging updates and collaborations with students, running the page like the BSU, PISA, or First Gen, and so on. Beyond digital efforts, we will bring ASUWT to where students are already through classroom announcements, club partnerships, and tabling at major events. I'd also love to launch an ASUWT street team, student ambassadors who spread awareness within their own communities on campus. It's all about making ASUWT feel closer and more acceptable, or approachable. Sorry.
Thank you. Husneya, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I agree. The RSOs on campus have been doing amazing work, but that is not enough. RSOs do not have enough engagement, and we cannot rely on them to provide ASUWT the attention that it needs. RSOs are struggling with their own events. They have their own outreach to do, so I would not rely solely on RSOs and student ambassadors. There's no concrete plan in that. How long would that take? And how are we going to sustain that without stipends for students? Thank you.
Matthew, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I do agree with her statement. She's true about everything she said was true. But for the ASUWT, we need to amplify those resources to these RSOs. Because I spoke with this officer today, and the whole entire officer board is new, and they did not know the resources that were available, like the CEF fund. As the ASUWT, we need to amplify and push for these resources for students so they can feel that their needs are approachable.
Husneya, you have 30 seconds for closing comments. Your time starts now.
As the RSO committee chair, I would be, if elected, I would be responsible for training these RSOs every quarter about the resources that are available. That includes the CEF, and every single RSO right now has been trained. And the fact that they do not know that the CEF exists is a problem on them not following up on training. And if elected, I will ensure that each RSO leader and officer has has done the trainings, that they know, that they're aware of the resources that are available. There are so much resources that ASUWT provides for the student body, for the RSOs. And it's only a matter of outreach, a matter of getting the word out. Thank you.
Matthew, you have 30 seconds for closing comments. Your time starts now.
I do agree, but we shouldn't be thinking about the future. We should be thinking about now. Why aren't we pushing forward to these ideas now? But I do agree, but we should be pushing to all your goals now.
Thank you so much. Matthew, you have the opportunity to answer our second question first. What events or initiatives will you introduce to increase student participation in ASUWT activities? You have 2 minutes to answer. Your time starts now.
To boost student participation, I believe we need to target the main audience we are looking for and students who are interested in networking and building community on campus. That starts with collaborating more deeply with clubs and cultural organizations to co-host events that speak to students' identities, interests, and passions. One idea is Talk to ASUWT Tuesdays, a weekly casual event where students give feedback, get food, ask questions, or just hang out with their representatives. I also want to organize community building, events like Campus Night Market or a student talent show. Events like that will make students feel seen, celebrated, and connected. Another key area is professional development. I'll work to host networking events with alumni fairs and leadership workshops in collaboration with career development and community partners, where we will meet students where they are and offer value beyond free food. That's when engagement grows.
Thank you. Husnia, you have the opportunity to respond. What events or initiatives will you introduce to increase student participation in ASUWT activities? You have 2 minutes to answer. Your time starts now.
To increase the student participation in ASUWT activities, I would focus on revitalizing the RSO committee, not by replacing or taking away from existing events, but by building stronger collaborations and ensuring that student interests drive our program. I want to understand that what students actually care about and create opportunities within RSOs that reflect that. Since leading the RSO committee is part of the Director of Outreach role, I would make sure that it becomes a space where students feel excited and they feel heard. They feel excited to contribute. I would also expand our outreach through platforms like Slack and create more consistent touch points for students to engage with Campus Live. Civic advocacy training would also be a key initiative for me, empowering students to get involved in meaningful causes while connecting their classroom learning to real-world action. Their civic engagement through these initiatives would earn them volunteer hours, and if SAFC permits in the future, could even lead to stipends, creating both personal and professional, more rewarding and connect students to get students connected to their academic and personal growth. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
The only question I have is, what will you do differently from what's happening now to increase student engagement?
Husnia, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
Yes, I want to touch upon one thing that my opponent mentioned, networking events. As pre-major senator, I have been trying very hard to work with advisors to create networking events. When we did our surveys in fall, that was one demand for the pre-major students. Yet it has been so difficult to create those events and to meet with administrations due to their very strict amount of free time and due to the hiring freeze that we had. So I want to ask, how will you overcome those challenges when I have tried multiple times over and over and over again, trying to create those opportunities for students? And to answer your question, our current Director of Outreach has been amazing. She has been doing amazing, but she's not as involved with RSOs as I am. I am currently the president of Middle Eastern South Asian Student Association and the event coordinator for Pre-Law Society. So I have more experience in my belt, and I am able to create these connections because I know what it because I know what it takes to be in an RSO and how it feels to not have those connections. Thank you.
Matthew, you have 30 seconds for closing comments. Your time starts now.
Well, I do have some, what do you call it? As a Black Student Union president, and I am also a part of 4 other organizations as an officer, one thing that I've learned is that your voice matters more than words. Emails, surveys, flyers, yes, that does mean something, and that's a great way of advertising, but as for students who are commuter, they do not look at that. Your voice has more power than any word. What I would do differently is actually go around to students, ask how their day was,
Please
and
wrap up.
ask, do you know what's going on our campus? That's the best way. And throughout every event that we have had, doing that has changed our numbers and had more student engagement.
Husnia, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments.
Thank you. I would say that outreach through platforms and through posters and through bulletin boards does help. I look at them, and I'm sure a lot of other students look at them. That's why they're there. But it is difficult. I agree with commuter students. And going out and speaking to every single person on campus while you're a student full-time is not a plan, and it is not achievable, is what I wanted to say. There needs to be more concrete plans. While serving, if elected, if serving as the director of outreach and then having that plan is not achievable and it is not measurable. You cannot measure your success with that. So I want to ask, how are you going to do that? How are you going to measure your success in the student engagement? That is not a concrete plan. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now be moving on to the third question. Husnia, you have the opportunity to respond first. The question is, how will you measure the effectiveness of ASUWT's outreach efforts? You have 2 minutes to answer. Your time starts now.
The effectiveness of ASUWT's outreach can only be determined by the engagement we get. I would use a combination of quantitative data and qualitative feedback, as well as ongoing reflections, and I have broken it down into steps. First, I will track participation at events through sign-ins, RSVP numbers, digital check-ins if that apply. Second, I would utilize our social media insights, likes, shares, comments, reaches, to understand the extent of our digital engagement and what we need to work more on. Next, I will compare turnout trends quarter to quarter, what kind of events attracted the most students and what we need to work on, and build off of that data that we have received. Though I won't only be looking at numbers, I'm not a finance major. I will also be doing quick post-event surveys to ask students what they liked, what could be improved, and what made them feel more connected to the campus. Real work can only be done with students' feedback and with their voices, and getting their immediate perspective. I will also be meeting regularly with RSO leaders to gather input on how ASUWT's support and outreach efforts are landing within their groups. It is not just a set it and forget it kind of goal here. What I'm trying to say is I will also be monitoring and measuring our growth in followers and engagement across ASUWT platforms so that we have numbers and not just promises that get forgotten the moment people are elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew, you have the opportunity to respond. How will you measure the effectiveness of ASUWT's outreach efforts? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
First and foremost, outreach without accountability is just noise. That's why I believe in using both numbers and feedback to measure success. First, we'll track data like social media engagement, event attendance, and how many students are accessing these resources we promote. But beyond that, I want to implement real-time feedback systems like QR codes, surveys at events, digital polls on Instagram, and monthly check-ins with club leaders to ask how we're doing. I'll also push for a short, transparent impact report each quarter that breaks down what ASUWT has done, what the student response was, and what changes we're making moving forward. This makes our work visible and allows students to see that their voice directly and shapes our strategy.
Thank you. Husnia, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I wanted to ask something. You mentioned that outreach without accountability is not something that is something that you would focus on. I'm wondering how you would do that. How is that? How are you planning on doing that?
Matthew, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I said, and I quote, first and foremost, outreach without accountability is just noise. If you don't put in the work and you just want the position for a title, then what is that? Something I noticed that with different RSOs, not saying any names, but they join RSO organizations and become an officer just for the title, but they're not even engaged on campus with student life. That's what makes me different from others, that I'm engaged with everyone, and I try to make sure their voices are heard, and they make sure my voice is heard.
Husnia, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now.
Thank you for that clarification. I agree. Accountability is very important, and that is why we have an accountability clause in ASUWT that ensures that we are meeting our goals that have been set and that we promised that we would do them during our elections. Thank you. Accountability is already there, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Matthew, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now. I'm sorry? No statement. Okay, thank you. Matthew, you have the opportunity to respond to our fourth question first. How do you plan to balance your time between your responsibilities developing events and programs, fostering relationships across UW-Tacoma, and your responsibilities as a student? You have 2 minutes to answer. Your time starts now.
Great question. As a person who is really big on mental health, balance comes down to time management, teamwork, and self-awareness. As the president of BSU and a member of multiple clubs, I've learned how to schedule my time intentionally and delegate my time when needed, and prioritize what's most important. I use digital calendars, and most importantly, I build strong friendships around me, as you guys can see in the back. No great leader works alone, as I learned. I also know the importance of protecting my academic time. I plan to set dedicated hours for ACWT work, student outreach, and school responsibilities so that nothing gets neglected. But beyond structure balance is also about being real with yourself and your team. Communicating when you need support and checking in on each other to prevent burnout. That's the kind of leadership I practice currently and plan to bring to ASUWT.
Thank you. Husnia, you have the opportunity to respond. How do you plan to balance your time between your responsibilities developing events and programs, fostering relationships across UW-Tacoma, and your responsibilities as a student? You have 2 minutes to answer. Your time starts now.
I believe in collaborative leadership. By leaning on the strengths of the ASUWT team and delegating effectively, I can keep things moving. Fostering good communication with our fellow officers means we'll support one another when workload spikes. Rather than doing everything solo, I will be partnering with clubs, departments, and RSOs to co-create programs. This way, we can reach more students while sharing the workload. These collaborations also strengthen relationships across campuses, naturally without needing to schedule separate outreach. As a student first, I will make sure that my course schedule is set up to allow time for ASUWT duties. And to give you a bit of insight of how I've juggled this year, I am currently holding down a tutoring position at the TLC, writing tutor, a job at the pantry, my position with the Senate, a full-time job with the corporation. Alongside all of this, I work with a nonprofit in King County to assess education in King County, as well as multiple RSOs on campus, and have made it on the dean's list this past 2 quarters this year. This is just to give you an insight about how I've developed strong management time skills and how I would be committed to maintaining my academic standing while serving. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
First, I want to say congratulations for getting on the dean's list. That's not easy to do. The only question I have is, because you're an officer for MISA, and you're running for ASUWT Director of Outreach, what can you do to prevent burnout? Because there's a lot of responsibility that comes with both positions. And then what will you do even though you have a job on here on campus?
Husnia, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I believe in setting our priorities and believing in ourselves and why we're doing the job that we're doing. Why is it that we are running for student government? Why is it that we were debating here today for this position? And for me, it's because I've traveled oceans to get here for to have this education. For me, this is not a mere school or just a school it's not just a college education for me. This is what I came here for. I have lost so much, and that is why I want this position. I want this because I've traveled far, and I will be serving. And the burnout, I would say that I really prioritize what I want done. And burnouts can only happen if you stress and don't get things done. Thank you.
Matthew, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now. Thank you. Husnia, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now.
I want the audience to think very carefully about the questions here because I know these are mere questions and we're enjoying the food. But these questions are very important as the candidates for this year will be serving in ASUWT next year. And there has been a lot of work done to get ASUWT to where it is today, to where it holds itself accountable, and the directors do not only go to the meetings to get a paycheck. So that will be all. Thank you.
Thank you. Husnia, now you have the opportunity to respond to the final question the Elections Administration Committee has prepared. The question is, what are your top 3 priorities for improving collaboration and outreach between ASUWT and UW-Tacoma and non-UW organizations? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
One of my top priorities is development through meaningful partnerships. ASI will seek collaborations with community businesses and organizations that support both student and professional growth in ASI-led initiatives. This includes creating internships and volunteer opportunities that connect students with local nonprofits and businesses while also advancing efforts like food insecurity relief, campus events, and resource distribution through in-kind donations or service sponsorships. Second, I'm committed to building strong, more consistent two-way communication with RSO leaders. That means real opportunities to co-host events, share platforms, and amplify each other's work instead of competing for student attention. If ASUWT wants to truly represent students, we need to be present with them and not just speak for them. Finally, I want to bridge the gap between the campus and the greater Tacoma community. There's so much happening off campus that U of T students could benefit from. I'll work to form partnerships with local nonprofits, businesses, and cultural groups so students can engage with Tacoma through volunteer work, internships that bring the city to the campus. At the end of the day, collaboration isn't just a buzzword, it's a responsibility. If elected, I'll challenge the idea that ASUWT only represents students during elections or in meetings. We have to show up for these students, partner with them, and open doors that they didn't even know existed. ASI has already made progress with community partners and lawmakers at every level, and we plan to take that further, expanding opportunities for students to engage in civic advocacy and continuing to show up where decisions are being made, whether that's here in Tacoma, in Olympia, or in DC. Thank you.
Matthew, you have the opportunity to respond. What are your top 3 priorities for improving collaboration and outreach between ASUWT and UW-Tacoma and non-UW organizations? You have 2 minutes to respond. Your time starts now.
My first priority is communication connection, partnering with local nonprofits, small businesses, and organizations to give students real-world opportunities like internships, volunteering, and mentorship. Tacoma has so much to offer, and ASUWT can help bridge that gap between campus and community. Second, I want to strengthen student org collaboration. ASUWT should be a resource not just a governing body. I'll work to create joint event funds, streamline communication, and support cross-club events that increase turnout and reduce low student engagement on campus. Third, I want to launch a collaborative leadership summit, bringing together ASUWT, club leaders, and student reps from other UW campuses to share ideas and unify our efforts. We need to break out of working in isolation and start building something bigger by working together.
Thank you. Husnia, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I want to reiterate the fact that ASI has built these relationships. These relationships are already in place. It's only a matter of contacting those lawmakers, and it's only a matter of connecting students to these opportunities. There's no work being started from scratch. Everything, the framework is already there. We just need to connect students to those resources and get them involved. There's no work from scratch here. Everything's in place. There's a plan. ASI only needs to be in place to do it. Thank you.
Matthew, you have 1 minute to respond. Your time starts now.
I just want to say our values for the Hope Ticket. Equity, ensuring every student has access to the resources they need to thrive. Transparency, opening, sharing updates, decisions, and finance affecting students. Accountability, turning campaign promises into public delivers. And community, supporting RSOs, cultural groups, and peer networks.
Husnia, you have 30 seconds for your closing argument. Your time starts now.
Like I said multiple times, there's no clear plan here. The Hope Ticket has great promises, and I appreciate those promises, and I happen to share the same sentiment, yet I do not hear a plan. I do not hear concrete, timely plans. There's only promises. There's so many student bodies, student directors who have ran and promised. We can promise anything. It doesn't mean that it's achievable unless there is a plan, unless the person being elected already has the framework. Thank you.
Matthew, you have 30 seconds for closing arguments. Your time starts now.
Well, I can't speak for every member on the Hope Ticket, but our plan is already in the working. We don't tell people what we're doing, we show it. Words without action mean nothing. That's all I have to say.
Thank you both. Those are all the questions the Elections Administration Committee had prepared for both of you. We will now open it up to questions from the audience. If you wrote any questions down on the slip of paper, please hand them to me and I will ask them through the mic. Or if you feel comfortable speaking into the mic, please raise your hand and I will bring the mic to you. Thank you.
Hello again. You probably know my question. I guess I'll just preface it by saying I don't mean to call into question anything you have done or are currently doing. I just have my question to ask. So to both of you, do you support the continuing effort to divest UW from Israel?
Yes.
Perfect. Do you have specific plans of action? As I said before, radical action is what I would like to keep pushing this forward for as long as it needs to happen.
In fact, I do. The current Senate passed the divestment bill after months of trying to get students to take the surveys. I want to first emphasize the fact that there were delays, but that's because Senate does not act because on its own thinking. We need students' opinions, student voices. We do not represent ourselves. We represent our schools. That's why there was a delay in passing the divestment bill. And I want to emphasize the fact that the divestment bill had consequences for the people in Senate. Most people did not want to pass it because they were not US citizens. It had really bad effects on them, which is why we could not meet quorum for the longest time. And the Senate, the survey for the divestment was drafted by me and one other senator. The outreach was pushed by me and my team in MISA. We were down in Seattle lobbying during the day that the Board of Regents was supposed to pass the divestment bill. So we were there. We did everything we could in our hands. And I want to say that I do have plans. This does not mean that I will be abandoning divestment. Right now, I have been communicating with Tri-Campus and GPSS Senates to meet up, to talk about what happened, and to determine our next steps. Our President Holly asked a very great question to the regents during her report. She asked them, what's the use of having these ethical rules in place and when we cannot act upon it when ethical questions arise? That question was not answered by the regents. And I want to meet with the chair along with the Senate from GPSS, Bothell, and Seattle to ask that same question again and have them answer it. Like Ben said, they are elected by the governor, so they're not elected. But that is my plan, and I do not plan to abandon divestment. It is a matter of conscience. This problem is not unique to anyone. We all care, is what I want to say. No one here wants to see genocide. No one here wants to see people starving. But we are also students, and there's only so much that can be done with us and with Trump in office. Thank you.
Great question, by the way. And I just want to say I like what you're doing. You're doing an amazing job. I can't give you your answer now, but that doesn't mean I can't find one. I just want to say, being from St. Louis and being in the Black Lives Matter movement, I know your pain, and I know what's happening. It does hurt. It does hurt. But that doesn't mean I can't make a plan. That's all.
All right, thank you for that question. Any other questions from the audience? Any written down? Anybody else have any questions? Thank you.
Hi. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Hi. I just wanted to ask, why is student engagement important to you both, and why do you think you're the best fit for the Director of Outreach specifically?
Since Husnia answered the first question from the audience, I'll have Matthew respond.
Great question. Yeah, great question. When I first came here for my freshman year in the fall of 2023, I ran into a huge problem, and that problem was tuition. After my mom passed in 2021, and my dad being the only one with income, and my two siblings also in college, the tuition bill was not likable. I was paying around $22,000 per quarter, but being involved on campus and people coming to me and helping me to find the student resources, that changed my life. Now I'm paying in-state tuition. There's a huge difference in how much I was paying. And I never want someone, no matter who they are, to go through what I went through. And I think student engagement, that's where it started for me, so that's where it's going to start for them. So.
Husnia, you have the opportunity to respond.
Well, I'm running for student government because I believe that every student needs to feel heard, seen, and supported. Being a part of ASUWT as a senator, it has shown me the real impact that good student leadership can have. And when it's grounded in listening and action, it is not only based on promises. Though I do not share the personal sentiment, I would say that real promises made and kept is the difference here. ASI has made promises and has kept those promises. And I would really encourage you all to share, to go to voteasi.com and look at those results that we have shown, that we provide answers when asked questions, when demanded certain things. It is not mere promises. It is not mere say it and let it go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Any written down? Wonderful. So now I will thank you all for attending, and thank you, a round of applause to our Director of Outreach Candidates. And thank you again all for attending. We have one more debate and open forum hosted tomorrow in UWY, 3:04 p.m. There will be free food provided, and I encourage you all to come and share this with your friends. Moreover, voting week is next week on April 21st through April 25th. We have a tri-campus voter turnout competition between our campus, UW-Tacoma, and our sister campuses, UW-Seattle and UW-Bothell. Let's see who has the highest voter turnout percentage-wise. Please go out and vote. And finally, our biggest event of the year for the Elections Administration Committee, Rock the Vote. This will be hosted on Prairie Line Trail, 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. We will have free food, a DJ, and the first 150 students will get a free shirt. Please show up, tell your friends, and thank you again for attending. This concludes this event. Everyone who is present, please feel free to continue to socialize. Our candidates may be hanging around. We have one of our candidates who wasn't able to be present today on Zoom here in the back, so please feel free to ask them questions and stay here for a while. Thank you.